Everyone knows it as the happiest place on earth, but it didn't feel that way for me. The themes did not bring back childhood memories. Large crowds just made me anxious. The rides did little more than distract me. Everyone else got to be happy while I just sat there, helpless. I had just graduated, and I traveled to Walt Disney World with my high school's marching band for what everyone said was the opportunity of a lifetime. One short parade, then several days to enjoy the happiest place on earth. Well, all my friends were having fun, but I wasn't. They picked rides, which groups to meet up with, but I didn't really get a say. I was so disconnected, I don't even remember which rides we went on. The ones I do remember, I was still distant and didn't care for the park actors who I know were just trying to bring the rides to life. I started to break more and more as I witnessed my friends' happiness when I felt more and more alone. After discussing the possibility of having to fly home early, I realized I had to admit something was wrong and I needed help. I've dealt with severe depression my whole life, but when I was younger, I would never have admitted it. My masculinity was something I had always struggled with, growing up with 3 older sisters and living in a rural area where I didn't have the opportunity to socialize with other kids. I didn't know that boys weren't supposed to play dolls with girls. I just wanted to be included. My dad is also much older and grew up in a time where self-sufficiency was vital, and masculinity was very clearly defined and adhered to. With my dad being the main male figure in my life, I thought I wasn't allowed to admit I was depressed. That's a sign of weakness. Now, I don't blame my dad for my being afraid to ask for help. After all, he didn't choose the culture he grew up in. I know even he struggled to meet the expectations of masculinity when he was younger. I eventually reconciled my issues with my masculinity, but my depression continued all the way through high school, while I continued to ignore it. While asking for help would have no longer affected my masculinity, I got to the point where I just forgot what I was feeling wasn't normal. I think part of me knew there was a problem, but I just refused to acknowledge it. After all, how could I be depressed when I had everything going for me? When I returned from Disney World, my parents took me to our family doctor to figure out our options. At this point, I had constant anxiety and constant thoughts of suicide. But no psychiatrist in all of Kansas City could get me in for at least a month. I needed more immediate care than that, so my doctor suggested I go to the Behavioral Health ER at Truman Medical Center in Kansas City. I was finally able to talk to someone and get some help until I was able to go see a psychiatrist for long-term care. However, that experience was not without its own drawbacks. My parents weren't allowed in the waiting room, so it was just me and a dozen other patients in scrubs waiting to be seen. I was scared. In my mind, I was sure I was crazy, so I was sure everyone else in the waiting room must have been crazy too. To make matters worse, there were people there who said things that reinforced my perception. I still don't like thinking about what I heard in there. There was one small comfort while I was waiting, which was an older woman who just looked at me and said, "We're going to be all right." Today, I'm amazed at how long I waited and lived with my depression and anxiety before asking for help. How much happier could I have been if there wasn't so much stigma insisting I remained silent? How would the rest of my summer before college had gone if I had access to better care? How much sooner could I have moved on with my life?